Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Cygnus Datamatics and Nuxeo welcomes you to this webinar on the future of enterprise content management, convergence of IoT, Internet of Things, and enterprise content management to build a connected enterprise. So the speakers for today's webinar are Mike Arbonus. He is the Director of Product Marketing at Nuxeo, and Om Prakash Mishra, who is the ECM expert from Cygnus Datamatics. And myself, Ranjit Shankar, I'm a Client Solutions Manager with Cygnus, and I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. So just establishing a few ground rules for today's webinar, I would request everyone to be on mute. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar. Request your cooperation for the same. During the Q&A session, you can type in your questions on the chat window and we'll be happy to have our experts answer your questions. So, all right, so without further ado, I would now like to hand over to our ECM expert, Om Prakash Mishra, who would now begin the webinar. Over to you, Om.
Hi, thanks, Ranjit. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on future of ECM and convergence of IoT and ECM to build a connected enterprise. So I welcome each one of you to the webinar along with our colleague Mike and Ranjit. Now the agenda for today, we will be taking a look at how the technology and business paradigm is evolving. We will also present a vision of the future, how it looks like, 5 years from now and 10 years from now. Then we will take a look at the trends and the opportunity we have, and we will talk about a few use cases in the landscape of convergence of IoT and ECM. And from there, we'll take a deep dive on Nuxeo platform, how it enables an enterprise next generation business to deliver a modern content powered solution, along with IoT coming into the scope. And we will also look at some of the case studies of Nuxeo implementation, and then we will wind up with a brief introduction on Nuxeo as well as Cygnus Datamatics. What do we do? What we can offer for you. Now let us take a look at the evolving technology and business paradigm. Now if we going back to the basics of the entire dynamics of technology and solution, the key drivers in this has been people, processes, and technology. And if we go a little deeper, what are the key drivers from in the people side? So there are asks for new solution, and people evaluate the solution, the product, the services we offer. They measure it, they share the feedback with other people, they get some sense of accomplishment as well as they accomplish different tasks out of those solutions, and then they get into a realization cycle, like the experience part of it. On the process, the key drivers like will have new processes being created, engaging of basically engagement with new business processes, adoption of new processes, and collaboration, and continuing with those processes and best practices. On the technology side, the drivers have been the ease of use, the quality, the capability of the solution, the reliability, and a sense of fulfillment of using a particular solution. Now, this is not new. We all know about this. Now, what has been changing? Let us take a look at that. On the people front, the power has been changing. Now, the speed is one of the key asks. The parameters using which they evaluate a solution, that has been changing. The priorities and the options have been changing. And most importantly, what has been changing in the people domain is the lifestyle. Now, on the process side, the predictability, if you look at the predictability of a process, Now there is a wide range of parameters which have been changing. The freedom to adopt a process, the agility, the agreement of a process with an enterprise, the subjects and the contexts have been changing. On the technology front, the flavor of different solutions, the platforms on which those solutions are built, the scope of the applications, the definition itself has been changing. What do we call a solution? What do we call an application? And the measures have been changing. Now we'll go to how users are shaping the technology direction. So if we summarize, today and next generation users will be having a conversation, and the key pronouns of that conversation is they want solutions right now as soon as possible with no defect. They want it their way. They want more for less. And another quick pattern is they want it on the go. So people will be, will be preferring to download, to install, to use an application or evaluate an application when they're moving, maybe traveling. And they want it on any device. So there will be a lot of types of devices which they would be using, and they would want it anywhere on any device. Now, what does it mean? The amount of these conversations and asks have been changing. Now, on the technology side, if we have to map these demands coming from the people communities, we will have to be ready with agile and fast delivery mechanism of solutions. We'll have to build something which is interoperable, secure, can support on-demand provisioning, should be friendly and predictive. The applications and solutions should be responsive, self-service driven. The customization and the custom preferences, the personalization aspects of things, that has to be configuration driven. And at the same time, it has to be applicable in the global context, and new and robust solutions will have to be created, will have to be offered for the users with less defect and proactive fix. Now, if we just take a snap of this entire pattern, how does it look like? Now, technology, it will and it has been continuously evolving to meet the user's demands and their quest for enriching experiences. Now, of all this, let me present a vision of the future, how things will look like in the future domain. Now, we'll take a step back here and see how things have been evolving last 25 years. Now, in 1990 timeframe, which is 25 years back, and this generation has started to come to workplace now. That's quite interesting. We had 3 million users where we actually had the wave of foundation. We started working with emails and the web browsers and things like that. 1997, we started empowering business through the network, and then we saw e-commerce, digital supply chain, and things like that. And in 2004, which is 7 years from then, 97, we saw 10 times the number of users increasing. And that is when the concept of communities, the social, the Web 2.0, mobile application and collaboration started coming into the computing domain. And if you see, now we are having about 3 billion, close to 3 billion users and things. And this is where the connection among communities and connection among devices, that is evolving. We have sensors everywhere. We'll have machine-to-machine communication, and lot of this will also raise a lot of security-driven solutions in the marketplace. So this is the era where we can say that Internet of Everything is actually coming into shape, coming together, and this is the next wave of connectivity which will lead us to 2020, where we will have about 1.5 trillion users and things. That will be the convergence. So the man and machine, the difference and the distinction between man and machine will narrow down. We'll have a lot of embedded computing power, will have a lot of wearables and predictive, etc. kind of technology where we can actually, take a lot of proactive decisions, to enable enhanced outcomes of computing what we expect out of the systems. So more faster and intelligent connection, that is the wave through which we are going, and this will enable next generation of business. Now, what are the defining elements of the next generation of business? Now, if we look at this particular graph where people think data are coming together along with the binding process to deliver a solution, the computing capacity, the computing power, and calling it Internet of Everything, there are few critical aspects here. So when people-to-machine communication happens, that growth will actually lead to a lot of home-driven computing, like computing power in the home appliances, computing power in all the devices which we use at home, and then the second aspect, which is people-to-people, that's the social aspect of things, where people-to-people communication will happen and a lot of data interchange and exchange will happen. And on the business side, the machine-to-machine communication will actually enable a lot of content and a lot of data. Now, the defining elements, if we take a look at, the growing influence of the millennial generation, so we'll have a lot of people, young people in the age range of 18 to 30, in the workers and consumer community. Now, globalization of business, the power of mobile platforms, social feeds and consumer apps, that will be one of the defining elements, where people can provide feedback, live feedback to an app. People can actually rate and rank an app, and that way there will be distinction, among different types of apps liked by people, used by people, and how they are appreciated by them. And there will be a lot of virtualization of technology as well as workforce. Now, on one side, we will have intelligent enablers, flexible processes, and new ways of operating with higher innovation. On the social side of things, there will be a lot of collaboration. We'll have a marketplace which will never sleep. So we'll have 24/7 marketplace, which will be driven by a lot of operational excellence and cost differentiators, asking for cost leadership in the solution domain. Now, for business, what does it mean is business will have a lot of challenges in terms of securing the data. That concern will mount. Then facilitating new learning for people. Then nurturing an adaptive culture across the enterprise and sustaining the momentum. Now, if we have to summarize the defining elements, we can say that we will have technology embedded in products, services, and delivery channels, and the distinction between technology buyers and sellers, that will narrow down further. Now, people who are technology buyers, they will also behave in the community as technology sellers. So that bridge is going to be peer-to-peer businesses will flourish. Now, if we go to taking a look at the trends and the opportunity what we have out of all this. So the technology roadmap. Now, the enabling technology, for Internet of Things, if we look at, RFID is going to be there. Now, each and every consumable we buy, let us say we buy a yogurt, and that will have an RFID tag or a QR code or something like that, and the barcode is already there. The Wi-Fi will enable a lot of connectivity among devices. Then we have Zigbee, the sensors, and the smartphones. Now, these will be the enabling technologies which will have computing power, power on the devices. Now, that can be applied in many areas. What we see today is that a lot of traffic monitoring use cases, health and security applications, and a lot of things on transport, that computing, that area is being impacted with the evolution of the technology on the Internet of Things. Now, if we take a look at the predictive summary, how the market looks like. Now, today, if we take a stock of the situation, we have 10 billion devices on the planet, which amounts to 1.5 devices per person. Now, 5 years from now, in 2020, we'll have 50 billion devices, which means we'll have about 8 devices per person. Now, the number of IoT connection is about to explode. So you can guess, how much of connection among these devices will have. And as per one of the research conducted by Cisco, the number of B2B, the business IoT connection, if we take a subset of this 50 billion devices, there will be about 5.4 billion connections which will happen in next, it was projected for the decade. So from 5 years from now, we can say that it will reach up to 5.4 billion with 28% year-over-year growth. Now, the potential market size is big. Cisco predicts about 14.4 trillion value at stake, and IoT will also increase the efficiency as well as create new profits for the organizations. And it will touch our lives, whatever area of life we deal with, where the computing, the data, the content, transaction, exchange happens, like healthcare, transportation, and utility services. Now, what is the opportunity what we have? Now, taking a stock of the situation in 2020, around 1.5 trillion connected things will be there with 1 zettabyte of content, which is 1 billion terabyte. There will be devices which will be the enablers, and will have storage over Wi-Fi, and applications can be powered through the the storage devices, the intelligent devices. There will be a wide sensor network which will feed data into the internet and the conventional systems, our laptops, the data storage, and mobile systems. Now, we have things, and then we have data and content on things. Now, in between things and data and content on things, we have millions of use cases spanning across different industry verticals and different use cases on the personal side. Now, this will drive to something what we call deep content solutions, and in the next part of the presentation, Mike will be talking about what do we mean by deep content solutions. Now, let us cover some of the use cases. Now, this is the Convergence slide where we are talking about the superset of all the use cases which we can imagine. Now, imagine connected cloud of things. Now, everything, mobile phones, the entertainment devices, the data cloud, data centers, everything connected. And there are 3 main locations where action will be happening. One is community hubs, our government offices, the hospitals, the theaters, and things like that. The consumer zones, which are supermarkets, trade hubs, etc., and the enterprises, manufacturing, technology, publishing, etc. enterprises. Now, out of this, if we see, large number of people and devices will be connected. We'll have connected homes, cars, cities, and other healthcare, transportation systems. Real-time search and analytics and process for huge volume of machine and data will be required. We'll have to have a mechanism to create, store, and manage device-agnostic content. Now, these are some of the use cases which we will have to think about when we build a solution and offer to the consumers. Now, data and sensors will also predict consumer behavior. This has already come. at a lot of places we have few customers who are working on that particular area. A lot of country-specific regulations on privacy and security will be coming in. Now, the sow, capture, and feed and processing of data will happen at the point of action. Now, let me give you an example of that. Now, I buy a movie ticket, and that transaction I do on a portal. And when I buy the movie ticket, I am given a barcode of some code which comes to me as an image. And that image, when I walk into the theater, I transfer that image over Bluetooth, and then it allows me entry. Now, if you look at the very simple use case, everything is happening at the point of action. Now, what are the things which will enable this convergence and which can cater to this growing demand? Now, cloud will be a key enabler. Then open APIs and frameworks offering interoperable solution, offering device agnostic behavior on data and content. Those kind of things will be the enabler. XML will be a key enabling technology to define content elements, define structured data, as well as map unstructured data so that it can be interpreted across different kind of devices. Multi-channel content-intensive workflows will be required to manage large volume of data. And last but not the least, one of the key enablers for mobile devices and wearables, we will have a lot of context-driven content repository, and that is the deep content what we are talking about in the next slides. Now, how does the whole thing looks like? So this is coming from Intel, and this is a city, smart city, say 2020, and we have different sensors. Everything, the data is being consolidated, in the cloud, and different sensors are putting data into various systems and enabling intelligence everywhere. Now, this can give some sort of predictive insight. Now, let us take a use case of telehealthcare. One, old man, he wants, say telehealthcare. Now, the systems will be able to automatically capture the location and patient's demand for doctors, nurses, and whatever is required at that point of time. And the data coming from the wearable can be transferred to the doctor to take a stock of the current situation and advise something, prescribe something, in terms of next course of action. And that gets taken care of. And after that happens, patient can actually order, the medicine or whatever has been prescribed to him to a particular service provider, and that gets delivered right into the home. So that's what we are talking about. So much of data, so much of ease of service consumption that will come into picture. Now, if we look at the information management, the infrastructure which will empower and enable this kind of intelligence and intelligent lifestyle for people, and the solutions, having done the collaboration across people, process, things, and data, we'll have different types of clouds. So we'll have context-specific clouds. So if you see, we have private cloud, public cloud, then there will be some hybrid ones, then healthcare, different government cloud will be there. So finally, we will have multiple unique and evolving contexts, and which will have large volume of data and content on the move. So that's what we summarize as deep content solution which will be required. And in the coming slides, Mike will be talking about how Nuxeo platform can be applied to basically create deep content solutions. Now, I will be handing it over to Mike now. So Mike is our colleague at Nuxeo, and Mike, over to you.
Excellent, Paul. Thank you so much. And very happy to be here and glad to be part of this presentation. So we'll just go back over to that slide, the next slide, please. Now I want to say that Holmes' points are well taken, that it's essential to be able to derive new context from information based on new insights from Internet of Things generated data. And the concept of content in motion, also to his earlier point, also implies that the content is evolving. And that means that as we get smarter based on new big data insights, we're able to add those additional insights, or should be able to add those additional insights to existing and new content, enriching content based on new big data insights, as well as easily accessing and collaborating with content on demand anywhere. Now, however, legacy enterprise content management systems, as you see in the slide here, they just haven't kept up alongside the major advances of big data technology, and not kept up with the ability to be able to enable organizations to discover and act upon new Internet of Things driven opportunities. The few things have changed in the ECM world in terms of ECM as a technology, and in terms of its core capabilities and features in terms of content management. Most ECM technology is not transforming the way customers do business, and as you see here, that legacy tools have basically done a great job converting what once was maybe a paper document, and which were once stored in cardboard folders and then stored in literal rows of metal filing cabinets. Well, they've converted that scenario into an electronic version, but it's simply an electronic copy, if you will, or of the same physical objects stored in cabinets. So legacy ECM certainly makes it easier to store and distribute content, but these legacy tools have done little to provide a system of centralized management, visibility, control, as well as the ability to easily integrate new insights that we have the opportunity to glean now from big data analytics that may be based on Internet of Things driven data. And also the concept of content in motion, again, to Om's earlier point, actually just go back to the previous slide just for a second. The concept of content in motion is absent because legacy ECM, you could say, is basically puts content to rest in the form of an archive. It's largely static, and it's basically more of a one-way proposition. Somebody looks for it, retrieves it, as opposed to content being in a more active role in the organization as an object, as opposed to just some electronic version of a paper document. So we can go forward now. So Nuxeo has a unique and new perspective for modern ECM, and we call it the methodology deep content. And the notion is that we need to be able to fundamentally change how we create, access, collaborate with, and act upon content. And it recognizes that content is so vitally important to our understanding. If we can't express something as content, we can't share it with anyone, and we can't act on it. Content's the very core of business knowledge and business information. And now we're trying to take into account new data from sensors and devices of the Internet of Things and big data powered insights and analytics of that data. We need a new, more sophisticated, modern ECM or content technology that allows us to be able to leverage the processing power of computers, crunching big data from Internet of Things devices, sensors, and the like, to be able to allow us to expand our knowledge and therefore reflect that in deeper and richer content. And you can't do that with a legacy ECM system that is merely an electronic version of documents and folders and filing cabinets. What will be vitally important is the content-powered enterprise content management that will allow for a true digital transformation, not just a digital conversion of paper files to electronic files, but a transformation with new rich content, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and then enable managers to take fast and effective action based on new insights from Internet of Things powered data. And we go forward, what we see at Nuxeo in terms of a convergence of Internet of Things and also modern enterprise content management, first is there will be a new drive for content-driven applications. And in fact, we should even say new rich content-driven applications because it's vitally important for modern content management solutions to be able to support a rich content model. Now, what exactly do we mean by that? Well, I was talking earlier about legacy ECM basically being a hierarchy of documents / files, a file stored in folders, stored in filing cabinets, electronic filing cabinets, that is. And so one particular file type might be a picture. All right, so that's fine. But the notion of picture will vary greatly depending on the organization, depending on the project, depending on the department. The organization might say, okay, well, what do you mean by picture? We have all kinds of different pictures. We have photo assets taken by our professional photographers in the field. We also have banner ads. That's a picture. We also have photos for print ads. That's also a picture. And the flat hierarchy, if you will, of legacy ECM doesn't allow for that. It doesn't allow for the discernment of the differing attributes, the differing properties between a photo for a banner ad and a photo or artwork, whatever, photo for a print ad or a photo for a billboard, This is the difference. And so in a rich content model, you're able to model your content to match your business needs and your business processes. So instead of just having that legacy file type of picture, instead in a rich content model, which Nuxeo supports to a very deep degree, the ability to define not just a picture as a type, but a banner ad, and define that as an object. Define another object as billboard artwork, another object as print ad, and I hope that makes sense because each of those objects clearly have very different attributes, and you can define those properties in a very deep way instead of having to just somehow manage all of these different vitally important types of photos and to call them all photos. Instead, you're able to define them as you would define your business, and it's more than just different names. We treat content as objects and not as files. So an object could be one or more photos. It could be a group of them. It could be one or more. It could also have very complex properties and multiple properties, such as suppose we had a photo for we're a global 100 company, and there's a particular photo that we want to use in an email that we're going to send out to 35,000 customers this afternoon. We could have a photo that has special properties and attributes that pertains to that particular project, and being able to manage those are vitally important. So being able to develop applications using a rich content model is extremely important in order to be able to leverage the power of the Internet of Things, and then in turn be able to easily enrich an object with new insights that have been drawn from Internet of Things. And for a particular example, to the point of healthcare, having for instance, a patient electronic file, being able to easily integrate summarized data from monitors, medical monitors, diagnostic monitors, it clearly adds a new, richer level of value to that patient file. So it's going to be vitally important to be able to support a rich content model and then make it very easy for developers to be able to create applications specific for their industry. And thanks to Nuxeo supporting a deep content, rich content model, they can actually model their content to match the unique business logic of their industry. And we move forward. The next key driver for convergence between modern content management systems and the Internet of Things will be a much deeper, sophisticated ability to initiate case management. So if, for example, a particular big data analysis, after crunching, however many, terabytes of Internet of Things produced data, produces some unique insights, people and teams, wherever they are, need to be able to collaborate and act upon that insight. So that implies robust case management capability, which Nuxeo has built into its platform. Being able to automatically create a new case, directing the right people and teams to collaborate together on that case, and then also have readily available, again, as part of that case object, the insights from the big data analysis that triggered it in the first place, as well as other content that's relevant and related to that the same big data. So if in one real world example, if sensors for a jet engine is a big data creator to the nth degree, a single jet engine, the turbine can have hundreds of different sensors, and complex event processing engines are often used to manage those sensor data readings. And if there's a combination of readings that yield some exception data and potentially something wrong with the engine, well, that produces a complex events processing event, which can in turn trigger a case by Nuxeo with that information, as well as all of the content relevant to that particular jet engine, that particular model, that particular make, that particular the particular geography in the world where that jet engine is being used, the environment for a jet and the engines that are being used by, say, an airline in the Middle East, as opposed to an airline in northern Canada. Obviously, that will come into play as well, and different content will need to be surfaced and available to that team working on this new case. So being able to create cases very quickly and enabling fast, rapid response to Internet of Things driven insights will be vitally important too. And the Nuxeo platform, moving ahead, is designed to provide this advanced case management, and also to be able to, at the point of our previous slide, we can move ahead to the next slide. And to the point of the earlier slide, being able to support a rich content model and expose the rich content objects to developers to easily create customized applications. Both of these key requirements, functionality requirements, we provide with the Nuxeo platform. The Nuxeo platform is a modular, true building block platform. We'll see that in a second, with enterprise class capability, benchmark that with the ability to process over 1 billion documents, with extreme flexibility and extensibility, with the ability to match your precise, specific business workflows and business logic for your industry, and being able to leverage our built-in digital asset, content and case management capability, all of which is standard but also equally flexible and extensible. And then finally, enterprise search is handled through Elasticsearch, which has been embedded in the Nuxeo platform as a gold standard of sorts for enterprise search, and be the topic for a whole other webinar, the value and the power of Elasticsearch in tandem with Nuxeo. As I said before, the Nuxeo platform is a building block platform and enables a really true deep content solution. And what you see on the left are the core modules, core portions of the Nuxeo platform, from the Nuxeo runtime and Nuxeo core, which includes Nuxeo built-in repository, to all the different Nuxeo services, including, as we were just looking at, workflow and others like business logic and such. And then the ability to define your user interface, including integrating with other UI tools. This is all pluggable, and that's vitally important as well, because any enterprise content management platform is going to need to be extremely easy to customize and develop for. Everything within the Nuxeo platform is pluggable. And let's take a quick look, jumping ahead to some of the examples of deep content in action. We have some quick case studies, the vignettes that I'd like to share with you. Our first one involves Sharp and their cloud portal office. Sharp is an organization that really needs no introduction. They're a global organization, addressing in this case the need for mobile workforces to be able to easily access content at scale on demand using virtually any device, using a tablet, using laptop, phone, and then also being able to integrate with Sharp multifunction printers and intelligent whiteboard displays. And Sharp is able to provide this to thousands of customers through its cloud portal office, a SaaS-based solution, which provides this content capture, access, and sharing of information, content, which could also be content generated from, say, scanning a document, could be from during a meeting, their smart whiteboard display, which allows for people to annotate slides and be able to actually even draw everything that you would expect on a whiteboard and be able to share that with anyone, anywhere. And the other key important element here is being able to provide a level of security, because between this and also the own devices requires some major security, and that security need is a major concern among organizations. And the Sharp Cloud Portal Office, which of course is being powered under the covers by the Nuxeo platform, allows for security controls, allowing who can see what when, and then also vitally important audit trails, including being able to audit the use of Sharp-based machines, the multifunction printers and displays and such. Being able to provide this the ability for organizations to work with deep content and trust the management of content to the Sharp Cloud Portal Office. If we move to the next example, the next case study that we have for you, FICO is a leading analytics organization. They, in this particular case, are addressing among many of their solutions. This one in particular I want to focus in on pertains to developing analytic models. And financial organizations will live and die by the quality of their analytic models. That can include predictive analytics, analytic models to detect financial credit risk and scoring of actual risk, being able to identify fraud, and a whole lot more. And doing so properly and successfully requires some very strong management and review and approval processes of these very detailed algorithmic analytic models. And FICO's Model Central offering provides that centralized management plus consistent workflow processes, being able to automate the approval process, being able to maintain audit trails, and the end result is reduced cost and increased profitability. So, so that's a very favorable double whammy because the time that's needed to create, deploy, and update models, ensure that the correct and proper models are in fact being used, frees up time for analysts to create stronger models and again achieve that improved profitability. And then finally, another organization, GoValto, a SaaS-based organization that provides a SaaS-based offering that enables pharmaceuticals to be their much more quickly while eliminating compliance risk and completing clinical trials more quickly and being able to get new drugs to market. And the reason why is because, to make a long story short, they are successfully taking what used to be, this to the point of a legacy ECM, storing maybe 2,000 or 3,000 thousands of documents pertaining to different clinical trials in different countries, and trying to manage those documents with a spreadsheet, who has what, who's doing what, which document is the most recent one, eliminating all of that, and in the process eliminating compliance risk by utilizing the Nuxeo platform to create its SaaS offering that automates the process of document management, document versioning, and then smart workflows, and being able to trigger once one workflow in a given process has been completed, what's the next workflow that needs to be performed, that the next hurdle, and that is automatically generated through the Nuxeo platform. So the whole concept of eliminating just the antiquated file, folder, cabinet paradigm and turning it into each of those files, each of those documents and types into objects that you can model to very closely match your business logic and business processes. That's the difference between legacy ECM and the deep content applications that we need today in order to be able to also leverage the huge volumes of data being produced by the Internet of Things that are just awaiting us to discover new insights from. And moving ahead, just a little bit about both Nuxeo and then Cygnus as well. This is just a very small sampling of our customers who entrust Nuxeo to be able to help them with their most complex, most challenging content and digital asset and case management needs. With in France and other locations in the San Francisco Bay Area and the Northeast. We are very happy to have been part of this presentation, and I will turn it back over to Om and the Cygnus team.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mike. That was a really informative session on how deep content can be addressed with the capabilities of the Nuxeo platform, and how the deep content methodology can play a vital role in handling big data coming out of IoT. So without further ado, I'd just like to provide a brief introduction of Cygnus Datamatics, the company. So we are a pure play open source consulting company with over 500 plus open source implementations, which we have helped clients address business goals, increase business velocity, and reduce total cost of ownership. So as part of our thought leadership and community contribution initiatives, we have authored more than 14 open source books and more than 5,000 community contributions is what we have done so far. So in terms of our offerings, we are present in the portal space. We work with leading names like LifeRay and the like. In enterprise content management, we work with leading ECM product companies like Nuxeo. We work with big data analytics, and we are we are there right from the data to the intelligence lifecycle. We have developed solution platforms for integration. We also have an Internet of Things reference architecture, which goes by the name of Vital Statistics. Um, we also are also pretty strong in the e-commerce space with B2B and B2C e-commerce. As far as OPERA is concerned, it stands for Open Source Readiness Assessment. It helps organizations assess the health of their IT portfolio. It provides them recommendations, and they can develop a solution blueprint towards attaining open source maturity. Moving on to the next slide. Uh, This is just a sample representation of our IoT reference architecture, since we have been talking about IoT all this evening, and this is how our architecture kind of pans out. So I would now like to very quickly open up the floor for Q&A, and one of the questions that has been asked is, does the platform include analytics, insights, capabilities too? If yes, does it utilize some form of underlying NoSQL platform? So, Mike, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I think there's two ways to answer the question. First of all, own scalability for our content repository, in addition to being able to support relational database as the backend database. That, of course, is Postgres, which is included with the Nuxeo platform as an open source database, but it could be Oracle, could be MySQL, whatever, as well as being able to use a NoSQL database as the again for the Nuxeo content repository, such as MongoDB. So scalability for our repository is not an issue. I think the question, though, is probably more towards the big data analytics themselves. And of course, you wouldn't attempt to store sensor data into a content repository. Instead, you store that within a Hadoop cluster, or maybe even some high-end a data warehouse technology such as Greenplum or something like that, depending on the scale required. The point, though, is once some big data insights are generated and some exception data is identified, what you then have is something that needs to be acted upon by different individuals and teams within the organization. Alluding back to the example that one of the examples I gave of a jet engine that's yielding some exception data that's been generated by a complex event processing engine, and there are a number of those on the market. But then being able to route that complex event processing occurrence, exception event, that requires being able to on the fly create a case along with that surfaced information, and then all other content related to that, to that example, related to that particular jet engine. So I think that to that exception data, and then also be able to enrich existing content objects, such as files pertaining to that jet engine, with supplementing that, enriching it with some of this exception data to be able to understand how it may act in the future.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for answering that one. So I think we are almost out of time, so I would like to thank you all for taking the time to attend this webinar today. And I hope you found this webinar informative and interesting. If you have a business need or a challenge you would like to discuss with us, we would be happy to help. You can write to us at info@cygnus.com. I repeat, it's info@cygnus.com. So I would like to once again thank you all for coming out today. So thanks a lot for coming on, and have a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye bye. And from our presenters, Om Prakash and Mike, thanks a lot as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Ranjit. Thanks, everyone.